The Shark is live in front of your naked, steaming eyes at the Paramount studio, courtesy of NSHOA Cancer Center, with Everclear, doing Summerland 2016. Art, you know, the first time I met you was in Boston. It was in 1994. I think you were playing either the Axis or Avalon, right there on Lansdowne Street.
Axis.
Yeah, it was Axis.
Yeah, that's when all those clubs, that was Mama Kin there yet?
Mama Kin was there. Yeah, with Aerosmith's Club.
There was like 4 of them, and they got rid of all of those.
Yep.
Basically created House of Blues out of it.
That's right. Yeah. That's right. And it was right before Sparkle and Fade came out, right before Heroin Girl went to MTV. Yeah. And I remember I was there with this guy, Shred, a WBCN job.
I remember Shred.
Yeah. And when you told us that...
You worked for Oedipus, right?
Oedipus, yes, exactly. Yeah. And when you told us you were going with Heroin Girl as a single, Shred was laughing hysterically because he was like, no one's going to play that song.
Well, 12 different stations played it.
So did BCN.
Yeah. BCN played it, and everywhere they played it, it was a hit song.
Yeah.
But most of the country was afraid of the word heroin.
Exactly, that's why I laughed. I thought it took a lot of balls to pick that as a lead single. Obviously, Santa Monica was the big hit off that album, but you picked Heroin Girl and also, you know, Make Me Feel Like a Whore as another single.
Yeah, I'm not the most astute dude in business. It just, you know, it just seemed like that's the songs that I wanted to hear.
Right.
You know, that I want to hear on the radio. I want to hear rock and roll on the radio.
Well, those are the songs that you wanted to represent Everclear because you were just starting out.
Right? Well, we weren't just starting out. I mean, you know, I was 30, how old was I? 32,
right.
33. You know, 32 going on 33.
Right.
And the label, when we got signed to Capitol, begged me, like, they had a big meeting with the presidents, all the VPs, to convince me to tell everybody I'm 24. I'm like,
you Michael Jackson?
Yeah, right? I'm like, no, man. I'm my age, you know. I'm a dad. I'm not gonna hide that. I am what I am.
Right.
And I'm not gonna change my name. Well, would you consider like anglicized in your name? I'm like, no. It's not. And it's like, and it wasn't because, you know, I felt like I owed it to my dad or anything. I didn't owe him anything.
Right.
But it's my name.
Yeah.
That's what I grew up with, and I wasn't about to be disingenuous about it.
Right.
Well, Sparkle and Fade came out in '95. You guys were around, the band formed in '91, right?
92.
Okay, so there was this landscape of music. Everything was changing at the time. Were you guys pressured by the record label to go in a certain direction because of what was popular at the time?
Well, you know what's funny? No, because, I mean, I had been doing music like this for years. A friend of mine was in Europe and heard Nirvana, and he's like, wow, is that art? Because that sounds like the stuff I was writing, you know, just like big power chords, kind of dissonant, kind of noisy, but melodic vocals. And, you know, I had been doing that for a while. And when we signed to Capitol, it's like all these labels were like perched on the fence. They were ready to jump, but they wouldn't jump. They would take us out for lunches and stuff, but they wouldn't jump. Finally, one guy that sticks his neck out, JVC Records, which was distributed by Definite at the time. He made an offer, and within like 24 hours, we had 27 offers.
Wow.
Right? And I went and met all of them in New York and LA, and I'm like, this is how much money I want. And they're like, well, that's not much. I go, I want this percentage, I want this incentive on the back end. If we sell this much, I want this much bonus. So they're like, sure, we'll give you incentives all day because they think you're going to fail anyway. Right? So I'm like, okay. And this and this and this and this and this for support. And they're like, that's great. And I go, oh yeah, by the way, I want full creative control and I produce all my own stuff. And I don't take anything from anybody. Right? And like 80% of labels just went poof. Like smoke. They just disappeared, man.
That's not creative control, it's crowd control.
No, that's right. Because it left 6 labels who were like still into it. And I'm like, okay, let's talk. So with those, and then I picked Capitol because they needed this, and they were hungry,
right?
And I wanted that, and you know, it worked out pretty well in hindsight. But that was the whole thing. I had an A&R guy who was really pretty hands off. He only complained about one thing. He wanted Santa Monica to be longer, and I argued with him. Finally, I made it longer.
Was it a guitar solo that he wanted to add, or more?
No, he just wanted another chorus. And this, but today on Pro Tools, it'd be like, done, right?
Right.
And back then, you had to cut tape, make new stuff, and you know, re-record it, and it was it took some work to do it, make it cool.
Sure.
And I just took it up. I took the vocal up. I put another guitar. It more authentic, and it was like, yeah, it's done now. And I don't know if it would have been done before. I don't know if it would have been as big a hit before. But it is what it is. So you gotta give props when props are good. Sure, that's the only thing I ever really paid attention to. I kind of did it my own way. So if I failed, I could live with that. But I wasn't going to let someone else make those decisions.
Sure.
You know, because I was already 32 and a dad. I didn't have the luxury of someone else screwing up my thing I worked for my whole life. I've been playing guitar since I was 14.
Right.
Been band since I was 16. You know, Freddie's the same way. This is what this is what we've been doing our whole life, is playing music.
Right.
I don't want to. Do you want to roll down? There you go. Well said. Well done.
Well, Santa Monica is such a great song. I mean, you've lived all over the country, especially as a kid, and many people assume the song's about this quest for the pleasure destination in California, the warm weather, the coastlines, women wearing barely anything, but obviously it's more
You
than
had to
just...
throw that in.
Yeah,
Of course you had to throw that in.
When you see the girls walk by.
Yeah,
Dogs.
that's the inspiration. But obviously,
I like playing this stuff.
it's more than just about a scenic city or a perceived safe haven. There's a romance to the song that reaches a lot of people. Did you realize you had something special with Santa Monica?
It's funny, I was living in Portland, Oregon, where it rains all the time. And I grew up in Santa Monica, right? I grew up in the sun. And even though that wasn't a real happy time for me, because I was broke, and most of the time on drugs or drinking, and going through detox, jail, and stuff like that, it's hard to shake where you grew up. It's your comfort zone, you know? And that's what that song's about, is the romance of that comfort zone.
Mm-hmm.
How we tend to make it in our mind a lot more romantic than it might really be or have been. And that's kind of where it's at. And I was very depressed living in Portland with, you know, I mean, it's like, Gabe lives in Seattle. It rains like 8 to 10 months out of the year. You know, and gray, and just gray all the time. Not colder than here, but at least it will be colder and, you know, snow on the ground. Sunny. It's not like that. It stops. Sun stops shining in like late September, and it might shine a little bit. Pretty much not till July.
Oof.
Yeah. And that's why Portland and Seattle are #1 and #2 in the country for 2 things: rainfall and suicide.
I spent 36 hours in Seattle. It was amazing, but the first thing I thought of was I could never live here.
Yeah, I mean, and those people will be like, great. Don't let me I mean, it's not for everybody. I live in Portland. I raised my daughter there. When she went to college at Sarah Lawrence, my wife was like, "Can you just more warm now?" Oh yeah. So we started looking around. We settled in Pasadena, California, where it's warmer than Santa Monica. It's close to LA,
Yep.
but I don't live in LA. So I work in the business, but I don't live in the business. I don't have a bunch of knuckleheads around me. It's just a blue-collar neighborhood, families and stuff. It's cool.
You know what, we just interviewed Bill Bellamy from MTV, did Spring Break and all that stuff, and he was talking about that whole era of MTV when you guys had just pretty much burst on the scene, and he was talking about how the top 5 songs at the time were like Blind Melon, Coolio, and whatever was hot at the time. Were you conscious of the changing climate in music? Were you conscious of all these different genres all reaching top 40 at the same time?
I was conscious of it, but I didn't. I really put the blinders on, you know? I mean, I would listen to like underground music more than I would listen to commercial music. Though I did like listening to alternative radio because guitars, it was rock and roll on the radio, like when I grew up in the 70s. I mean, all us guys who were making music in the 90s grew up in the 70s.
Yeah. Plus
Billy
two.
Corgan, you know, Kurt Cobain, all those people. We all grew up listening to AOR radio, you know,
Right.
Zeppelin, Aerosmith, Kiss, Cheap Trick, stuff like that. And that's not a bad pedigree,
But that other music was out there too when we were kids. We were listening to soul music and stuff.
No,
Disco and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh, I didn't listen to that. I listen to R&B.
Yeah,
And now it's funny because I listen to disco and I like disco way better than I like the dance music today, which is like machine music, you know.
No feeling at all.
None. And these DJs get like $1 million a gig when they push a space bar. What a gig, dude.
Not bad. Not bad.
You know, the follow-up to Sparkling Face, so much for the Afterglow, was a huge success, but when you went on tour in Australia in 1998, it was kind of a disaster, so maybe it threw a shoe at you, knocking some teeth out.
That bad. Everybody makes it after this.
Well, what happened in
I
Australia?
got hit in the mouth with my mic because someone threw a boot at me.
Right.
These are Australians. They didn't mean it in a bad way. They're just like, man, I love Everclear. Threw a boot at me, hit the mic, hit me in the mouth, cut my mouth open, 27 stitches, broke a tooth,
Right.
spit and blood. And I'm like, man, I'm out of here. And Kurt's like, oh, I'm not going anywhere. I'm like, you're a dick. and that was basically it. We got into an argument. And then he got all poncy and wanted to go home the next day.
Right.
So that actually ruined us with the promoter because the promoter lost like 70 grand. So that because we canceled like 4 shows. Yeah, 70 grand 20 years ago.
Sure.
70 grand now is a lot of money.
Yeah.
But back then it was hard. So we kind of got blackballed. And we just started going back, what, about 3-4 years ago? 4 years. We've been back twice.
That's good. So, yeah, you toured there in 2015, right? Last year?
We were there in 20.
Yeah, last year.
For that last year we did the Sparkling Face tour there. We're gonna go back next year and do the Afterglow tour and do the whole album.
Nice. That's awesome.
Is there a certain parts of the country or the world where you approach the concert differently, you approach the set list differently if you're somewhere, maybe on the West Coast or in a different country?
In a different country like Australia.
Well, not to get hit with a mic again, sure.
Well, no, that was because I had a spotlight on me, which I've always hated anyways. Now I just won't allow it. I can see it coming, dude. I can duck. I got hips, I can move. And it just, but, you know, there's songs there that we have to play. There's a song there that we put on a soundtrack for a Romeo and Juliet movie called Local God, which here was just an album track, but down there was a huge single pop, rock, mainstream rock, alternative rock, it was a huge hit. So we have to put it up. Other than that, no, I just pay attention. You know, I'll write a set list of what we want to play, and Dave will say he wants to do a song, and we'll work it out. Maybe I want to bring something out, or fans will text us or social medias and ask for something, and we'll accommodate them. Summerland's a different thing. Summerland's like short sets for everybody. Play the hits, a couple fan favorites, new song, get out of the way for the next band.
Right.
That's